Welcome back to Money with Mission and Wealth Builders Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Felicia Fro, and am glad to see you, hear you. Although I know we're recorded, I'm just excited to be back. Just got back from an extended trip. Looking forward to going again. This is my year to travel, so I've got a few more trips planned. And by the way, I'm planning something for women who want to talk about money in a nice, relaxing, beautiful place. We're planning a trip, a retreat in end of March 2026 in Dominica. So look forward to hearing more about that. We're working on it quickly. It's going to happen. It's beautiful. Okay, today I have Tania Khazaal. She is a mentor women turn to when they're ready to stop playing small and start leading lives like the legacy business they are. It's intense, right? She's a former corporate strategist turned seven-figure founder, best-selling author, and mother of two. She now helps women operate with clarity, confidence, and strategy, turning their lives into aligned, purpose-led lives without burnout or selling out. Her journey from living out of her car to building a powerful business with a newborn makes her a living example of what happens when feminine wisdom meets CEO-level decision-making. And those of you sitting out there going, what the heck is feminine wisdom? Hang in there. We're going to talk about all that stuff because I was in the same boat. Through her, she's in the power coaching model and community. Tania helps women take back control of their time, energy, and outcomes, stepping into leadership across their health, relationships, income, and inner world. Tania blends intuitive insight with strategic execution to help women become the CEOs of their lives, owning their power, multiplying their impact, and creating generational change from the inside out. All right, you guys, I enjoyed talking to Tania. I really did. We are so aligned in so many ways. Again, Money with Mission and Wealth Builders. Mission is every woman has the financial ability to walk away from any job or relationship that is not in her best interest. To that end, we have folks like Tania. Have conversations. Connect with her. Let's build this, you guys. Let's keep this movement going, all right? We'll be having a trip. I'm planning a trip, you guys. Dominica in end of March 2026. I'm inviting some folks with me, and you guys, when I get it out to you, you are invited too, and I would love to see some of you there having some money conversations. Let's just be friends and talk about stuff, okay? Anyway, here's the show with Tania. Enjoy it. Hit subscribe if you haven't already here and on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much, and have a good time. Oh, I forgot to tell you, we do a little bit of swearing in this. It's not too intense, but if your kids aren't used to hearing that kind of stuff, you might want to listen to this with your earbuds in or when they're not around. Take care. Hey, Tania, thanks for joining me today. I really appreciate you coming on to Wealth Builders and Money with Mission.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Felicia.
And I called you Tania, and before we start talking...
Tania, that's tomato.
This lady's name is Tania, and she is talking to us from Ottawa, Canada. And we've been having a great time. We've been talking for the last 15 minutes, and we should have got some of that stuff caught on air, but you guys missed it, so sorry. Anyway, Tania, what are you doing up there in Ottawa? Tell us my first question to everybody is, tell me your money story. Did you come into money? Were you born to money? How did you learn about it? Just give us that overview.
Yeah, I grew up in community housing, so definitely did not have money. So much so that I'm pretty sure every single one of my parents' arguments were about money and not having it and all of the things. So I grew at such a young age to actually resent money, right? Oh. Money is the root of all evil. Money is more money, more problems, all of this stuff. And I carried that with me for the longest time because it's hard to break something that you've been so ingrained and programmed to believe.
You don't even know you have it.
100%. I remember being in my early 20s that I was so broke. I was living out of my car with my stuff in garbage bags. And I defaulted on my credit cards for 6 months, 7 months, and got a letter in the mail that my car was going to get repossessed and waiting for a subsidy check.
You were in Canada then? This was all happening?
This was all happening here in Ottawa, Canada. Yeah.
Okay.
And I think it got to a point where I don't think it ever would have changed without faith, because I started to really turn towards God more and surrendering And I started to learn, like, I started to really look at, but God is abundant. Why do we have to live this way? Like, why is money the root of all? Like, where did I start thinking? And then I actually started to learn about, wait, abundance is a thing. Abundance is like frequency. Like, it's a program. There's programming. Oh my God, have I been programmed to think this way all of this time? And so piece by piece, I had to have big conversations around money, which could be a love or hate relationship. So you either grow up with it and never really put value to it, or you grow up without it and create resentment towards it. And either way, our relationship with it started so long ago. And I read this quote that forever stuck with me. And it was like, money doesn't grow on trees, but it grows on energy, which is even bigger.
Nice.
And so I started to say, no, I'm going to change my entire relationship with money.
I'm going to stop you and back you
Yeah,
up,
of course.
because you were born and lived in community housing, listening to your parents argue about money all the time. And then we jumped all the way to your 20s when you were living in your car. Talk about the in-between. How did you, and living in your car with credit card debt, and my car's what happened in between?
So I was 14 when I got my first job at a fast food joint, and I pretty much supported myself. Everything I wanted to buy was for myself when I was 14, because I didn't want to have to ever ask my parents for money for something that I wanted. And I never stopped working since, to be honest with you.
But when you would ask your parents for money before you got to 14, what would their response be? Can you remember their direct words?
To be honest with you, I don't.
Okay.
I remember not wanting to ask. It's not like they would lash out on us if we asked for money. It was more of I saw their argument, so I never wanted to be a burden on them. So it's like that kind of a scenario. I just didn't want to have to ask.
Okay.
And
So
so then
got your fast food job. Go ahead. You're buying things for yourself.
And I just got used to that. I just said, if whatever I want, I got to take care of myself and all of the things. By the time I had graduated school a little bit early. I was a little bit of a smarty pants. I think that was my escape though too, just focus on my studies and stuff.
Yeah.
And I graduated a year early. I actually moved out to Windsor, which is like just across the border from Detroit. And I did my first year of college there. And I was working full time and I was in college full time because I had to pay for my own place. I was renting, like my sister and I actually moved. We were renting like this really dingy basement apartment. And there I ended up another fast food. I was at Taco Bell, another fast food joint, because it wasn't easy to find a job and I went through school and then it didn't work out well. So a year later we came back here, and it's always been the hustle mindset. Like I had to work really hard to make money, constantly exchange hour for dollar kind of mindset.
Yep.
And I just carried that with me. That was my exact life until it got to a point where I had lost my job after graduating college. And that's when I went through the time where one of my lowest times where I ended up living out of my car, and I was in a toxic relationship of someone who took money from me that I had worked hard to earn and all of the things. So you repeat the patterns that growing up.
Okay. So college, you didn't finish your studies while you were in Windsor. You're working at Taco Bell. You moved back to Ottawa. Did you move back in with your parents, or
I did move back in with my parents when I was 18. Yes.
Okay. Got into this toxic relationship with the person who was stealing your money. I'm sorry to put it that way.
Pretty much. Yeah, of course.
Okay.
He so much so that he surprised me with a bunch of gifts one day using my account for it. And I was like, oh no, I can't afford this. You got to return all the change. Like, I can't return it. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to freak out.
Okay. So now I see how you got into credit card debt. And then now you get out of the relationship and start living in your car?
No, I was still in the relationship. Yeah.
Okay. So you were living in your car with him?
No, I would sometimes have sleepovers, but he was at home with his parents, and it was just like, it was one of the scenarios. So I'd spend a lot of time. I wasn't always sleeping in my car. I was just always sleeping at this person's house, or sleeping at my cousin's house, or sleeping at this one. So it was one of those. So actually, and it happened because I got kicked out of my parents' home for this toxic relationship.
Got it.
Right.
Okay. All right. And then I read in once you had a child. Did you have a child during this period of time, or was that?
No, it was just after. Yeah. I eventually got with my husband and everything like that now, which is a whole other rabbit hole that we can get into, because I did almost have a child with this toxic person and all the things. So it's funny how that works out. But no, it was each one of those breaking points was leading me one step closer to where I'm at now.
To the good spot. Okay.
Yeah.
So where I'm in my head is you're in your car, credit card debt, you're couch surfing, it sounds like, and you decide you you said faith was what got you out of that. What led you to faith? Or was that something that was in your background and just a different?
It was always in my background, but I just never paid attention to it, to be honest with you. I find that a lot of times we hit a breaking point and it's like I'm so helpless that I have nothing to lose by turning to him.
Yeah.
So that's how I started to talk to him again and praying. And I was talking to my friends and everybody's just trying to get a job. And I remember my good friend from childhood, she called me and she's like, hey, like, I just heard that this place is hiring. You want to try to apply for the job and all of the stuff. And I think that they were paying like $36,000 for the year at the time. And to me, I was like, oh, that's good money, right?
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to apply. I'm going to try. And I got the job. And that slowly started to change. I was slowly able to repay my debt and get my feet wet again. And then enough confidence, just enough, a little bit to eventually leave that relationship. And
Okay. So it was after you got that job that all the turnaround started. And this is like very early starting to turn around, it sounds like.
yeah, I wouldn't even say it started to turn around because I was still completely so at that exact same time, I was very stubborn in my ways and I did not want to go back into my parents' house because I was like, you can't just kick me out because it's like you listen to me or else as I'm an adult at this point. I'm like, I've lived by myself and I'm coming back in and now you're telling me what I have to do. So I was hence my strength and who I am. I was like, no, you're not telling me what to do.
Yeah.
And so I ended up moving in with my other friend's house and paying like $500 a month that I couldn't afford because I'm trying to pay off the debt and I have this car that I still have to pay for and all of the stuff. And so to be honest with you, it took me from one toxic relationship to another. I was always in toxic relationships, by the way, because I watched it in my own home and where I grew up. So to me, it was normal. It was the norm.
Yeah.
And so I eventually hit a point in my life where I had chronic hives from head to toe for 6 months, head to toe. It was awful. I was puking every single day from anxiety. I had insomnia. I was the thinnest I've ever been, very unhealthy. And I got endometriosis, I got IBS, I got all of these things. And this is my pivotal point, I think, where I really reached into faith is because I got to a point where I was like, pardon my French, I freaking hate my life. Like, I'm not happy. I'm in another toxic relationship. I hate where I'm living. It's better off living at my parents' house than her because she was going through a divorce and all the drama that was happening in her house. And I don't like the job that they weren't supportive when I was dealing with my chronic hives. And so I felt that pressure. And it was just, I was at a point where I'm like, I thought I was doing better. I thought it was getting better for me. And I hit a breaking point. I hit a breaking point where, not even a breaking point, a surrendering point where I was like, my choices aren't working. I have no idea what to do with my life. And by this point is actually my late 20s. Okay. And so I remember just crying and pleading and saying, God, tell me what to do. Whatever you want me to do, just tell me what to do because my plan's not working. I woke up the next morning and I felt the strength to be like, I'm just going to end the relationship that I'm in. I'm done. I'm done with this. I'm not doing anymore. We weren't arguing anything. So it was coming out of the blue. And I was like, I'm just ending the relationship. Less than 24 hours later, I walked into my job and I quit my job. I didn't even have another job. I still have debt that I'm trying to pay off, but I just said, I'll figure it out. But I just know that I have to leave this place. It's not healthy for me. By the way, I found out that it was stress-induced hives. So it wasn't even allergies or anything, right? And then the same day that I quit my job, I went to my best friend's house. I grabbed my stuff. I packed them all into my car and I moved back into my parents' house. So here I am in my late 20s being like, I'm a total failure. Here I am again, single, broke, debt, no job, all of this stuff. And I just felt like a total failure. That was the pivotal point of my life.
That's interesting because I felt the pivotal point was the night you fell asleep saying, God, please tell me what to do. And then you woke up with the strength to do the things you needed to do.
I think when I say pivotal, I recognized what's happening. Not that I didn't have the strength. It's like I'm seeing it come together because when I did that, I think a lot of people are scared. They forget how much choice they have in their life.
100%.
And they get afraid to leave the bad relationship, to leave the bad job, to create something of their own, to all of this stuff. It's scary because it's so unknown. And when I totally surrendered, it's like, Felicia, everything changed, but not just changed, so fast.
Yeah.
So fast. All of a sudden, I got a job and a corporate executive that forever changed my life, like 6 figures plus. And I got with my now husband at my little brother's wedding. Within less than 6 months, we bought a home. We did this, we did that. I paid off my debt. And it was like, oh my God, that's what you wanted me to do. You wanted me to just trust you that you know better than me, and me to just release a little bit of the grip of control. And my life started to pivot. And yes, there was other pitfalls of financial issues and all this stuff. But this is when I first recognized the power of the energy and the power of God and everything.
That's amazing. And surrender is such a hard word for me because letting go of control. So I just say, let go of control.
But it is, you're letting go of so much control. Do the what, but don't hyper focus on the how, because then you feel like you're alone in this world. And that's a very scary place to be.
That was beautiful. The what, but don't focus on the how. It will just take your steps and things will happen. And you don't, it is, I don't know what the fuck to do. I've been there. And I think everybody out there has been there. And anybody, sorry about your kids in the car. I'll put a thing at the beginning to warn you. I don't know what to do. Okay, then how about letting go of some things and
That's
see
exactly it.
Bottom line. Okay, that was beautiful.
Thank you.
And I have a friend actually who's just getting over hives, who realized after she was over them that it was all stress induced.
It's crazy.
I can show my skin again. I realized how much this was all in she said all in my head, which so many people, as a physician, they think you're saying they're crazy. When you say this is not a physical problem, it's a mental or psychological problem manifesting itself as a physical problem. People don't want to.
That's it. Yeah, it shows up physically in your body. What you're internalizing is externalizing.
Yes, and so much. Okay, sorry, we're about to jump into something over there. So you have up on your Zoom screen, Tania the herbalist.
Yeah.
We're in your corporate job. Okay. You got that. You got married. All things were happening fast. What made you pivot from that?
Yeah, you're gonna love this as a physician. So at the peak of my corporate life, I'm talking about lavish traveling paid for by the company, Barcelona, Vienna, Malta, paid for. My husband and I were staying at the Ritz-Carlton. Life is great.
Yeah.
But it wasn't in the personal world. And it was at the time of my life where my mom was on her deathbed from too many pharmaceuticals. My mom has this rare condition, neurofibromatosis. So she's got like tumors that grow through her nerves. It's really painful. And so I get my drive and my ambition, I get that from her. So to see that person on their deathbed where she's no longer talking, she's not coherent, but she was on a ton of narcotics, oxy, ziplicone, all of the stuff that should not be combined. And you can imagine what that does to you after a decade. And so I hit a breaking point. Like, I just felt like I was grieving my mom while she was physically still alive. I had no excitement for my work. I felt like it was the first time, and this is so important when it comes to money, because it was the first time where I realized I chased money for so long that it wasn't making me happy. Like, I had it, I should be so happy, but why aren't I happy? And so I recognized all the other things that were super important for me. And because of that,
I want to say that again.
Yeah.
Because I'd been there. You chase this thing. It's like, if I have enough money in my account, I will be happy. I'll be successful. I'll be all the things. And you get there and you're still running the same damn wheel you were running. And
if you don't deprogram, it's going to follow you, whether it's $0 or $1 million. It's the same shit's going to come up.
Okay. Money's not the answer.
Yeah, no, it's an avenue.
It's not the answer.
100%. Because when you see health and all these things, right? Think about it. Like, people will go and work their entire lives to be like, I need my retirement, I need all this money. And then the moment your health is sacrificed, you'll give it all up just to get your health back. So it's inevitable, right? You either pay the price now or you pay the price later.
Yes.
Okay.
And so your mom was sick.
You were on her deathbed. It was really hard. And because I hit my breaking point, it was like the first time ever, Felicia, where I was like, I need to like meditate. I need to do something because I don't know what to do. I'm gonna go crazy. I'm talking about panic attacks all of the time. And I didn't want to take medications because that's the only thing that they were offering me as a solution. And I was like, no, I'm watching what it's doing to my mom. I'm not going to do that for myself. Yeah. And so it's like I had an aha moment. And I think it's like I meditated, I was sitting in nature, and a week later I've never quieted my mind enough to actually listen to that inner voice. I almost didn't even know what that means. Mm-hmm. And I just had a thought that I was like, there's something natural that we can do for her. There must be something that we can do for her. And so I went to a bookstore and I grabbed my very first book on medicinal herbs, pen to paper, and I just learned everything that I can about the nervous system, all that I can. And I was blown away, and I was showing it to my mom, and I was like, I'll make stuff. I'll make elixirs. I'll make concoctions, whatever you need me to do. And she's like, I'll become your guinea pig. I have nothing to lose. And she did. And she got off of all of her narcotics to the point that the doctor's like, there's no way we're going to do urine tests. This is that, like how you just get off of oxys after a decade and all of this stuff. And it was not fun. You can imagine the withdrawals and everything that she went through, but she had pain relief outside of what she was doing. And she started living again and laughing again and going out again. And she's still thriving great right now. She's supposed to be traveling in a month. And that for me was like, I didn't even know herbalist was a thing, to be honest with you. I didn't even know herbalism was a thing. And I learned it was. And then I had this new found passion to life. And I can say that, yes, I did all the natural stuff to also help myself with my endometriosis and anxiety, insomnia, all this stuff. But I think the biggest thing that also saved me in terms of happiness, not just seeing my mom, was I had this whole new excitement for life outside of my role, like this newfound passion. And that's how Tania the Herbalist was born. I was like, oh my God, this is such good information. I need to share that with the world.
Okay. And this is really not uncommon that people find things that help them. They come to their point. You came to another low point, realizing that all these things I've chased are not what are making me happy. And you took the time to sit and actually at this point, really, I think meditation is God talking to us and prayer is us
100%.
And listen, you heard the words came to you, whether I always say, when I'm talk to God and I'm like, can you just give it to me straight? Don't give me little hints. I need the I'm pretty write it out in the headline so I can know exactly what to do here. Doesn't happen. But anyway, it's still letting go of the control every day. Anyway, so now you've found this new way. And I'm a physician, trained Western medicine, not trained Eastern, none of that. We give drugs into conversation for many, and it's never felt good to me. I want to get to the root of your problem and not treat your symptoms, which is most of what we do in Western medicine is treating symptoms. And many people in the population, especially in the United States, which is where I practice, they are about it. That's all they know is treating this
pill for an ill mentality, 100%.
Exactly. And so that has been my frustration. And that was my letting go of medicine to a degree when I realized I am being complicit in this system that I can't stand. So yes, I still practice 2 days a week and I do it the way I want to because I don't care. If you don't want me to work here, I'll go somewhere else. So
and kudos to you. That is powerful because that's a whole other rabbit hole that I can go to because I didn't even know about all of this until I was still learning about herbalism. And I was like, why aren't they teaching that in school? And and I was like, oh God, this is a whole other rabbit hole I was not expecting.
Yes. Now I've taken medicine for depression. I was like, I just need something to get me over this hump till I get my shit together. When I was taking care of my mom, I went to the doctor. I'm about to lose my mind. Okay, let's give you this pill. Okay, now what else can I do? Because this is not me. I'm not a pill person like you. Exercise for me. It was like, okay, let me start working out. And it took care of it. I was off the pills in a month. But anyway, it is, and please, whoever's out there listening thinking we're saying medicine is wrong. That's not what I'm saying at all. Medicine is right for many things. Traditional Western medicine is right for many things, which doesn't say Eastern medicine, herbalism, all the energy work is not also right for many things. So it is not a black and white, right or wrong thing. These things should, in my mind, 100% work together. Okay.
Yeah. And that's how it is in the Eastern side of the world, right? It's like they turn to this first and then provide the options, right?
Yeah. Okay. Where was I going with this? Now you've got a whole business. You're teaching people. Talk about the feminine energy. I say that to some of my physician friends. They look at me like, "What the hell are you talking about, feminine energy?" And just talk about that a little. What does that mean to you when you say feminine energy and the way to move forward?
I think for me, like, hence why I created my community called She's in Power. I feel like when you think about feminine energy, I'm the best version of myself and I'm leading myself in every aspect of my life. And I'm not talking about like that masculine, hustly, independent woman. I'm talking about there's a way where you lead yourself in your health and your mind and your marriage and your mission and all of that in a way that feels good and you're like, this is me. Like I'm wholeheartedly, I could show up myself and I feel good and I go to sleep feeling good. Like for me, that is it. When you're showing up authentically in your relationship and you're able to be your feminine self and have someone like I love leading in my business, but being feminine at home. And I like to take care of my mind and then take care of my health. And I'm a strong believer. And I feel like society has made women have been conditioned to believe that they're applauded for how much they're doing. Like who burns out the quickest, who holds the most. Oh, you're the busier one. Congratulations. Where it's, oh yeah. Oh, your kids are gone 3 days a week. Mine are 4 days a week. Oh my God. And I have to travel on the weekends. It's like they get that applaud for how busy they are, but it's like, how happy are you? And you know this. That's why autoimmune disease in women is like the highest than ever because we compromise ourselves for everybody else. So for me, true feminine energy is no, I can take care of myself and prioritize myself the same way I would anybody else because I have to lead by example, especially when you have kids.
How do you do that? How do you take yourself? Well, first of all, especially in medicine, because it's a very masculine thing that all the jobs, corporate are, to me, seem to be very masculine. It's a masculine drive.
It
There's
is.
nothing wrong with masculine. Let me say that. There's nothing wrong with masculine. We need masculine and feminine. We need it.
100%.
That being said, the drive, the money in the bank account, the running the wheel, all those kinds of things are much more of a masculine way to do things. And I've done it and I still do it. And I'm just like what you said, at work, I'm one way, at home, I may be another. And you probably are even more feminine at work than not. But the more feminine way to do it, the way I've heard from other people, or to be, is what you said. You're more relaxed and in your body and not so focused on what's outside so much and it's a more collaborative space to be in. You're more working with people than competing with. It's just a completely different feeling, which is hard to describe. And I feel like we're working around it, but not, I don't know if folks out there really understand, and okay, but what is it? What does it look like?
If someone were to come to me right now, I have like my own version that I had created about like your wheel of life. I call it like the circle of life. Okay. And this, for me, the circle of life is like, there's 4 pillars to a woman really being happy. There's her inner world, right? Your energy, your emotions, all of the stuff. There's your lifestyle and your well-being. There's your relationships and your connections. But then there's your vision and your legacy. And no matter what, whether you're a stay-at-home mom, whether you're a corporate CEO, it doesn't matter. Every single woman thrives to have something of their own. And that doesn't mean you have to turn it into $1 million business, but just to have something I call mine that I work towards, that I'm passionate about building. That's vision and legacy. And then obviously the other ones are pretty straightforward: relationships, connections. And when I have women go through this and I say, I want you to rate it from like 0 to 10, 10 being I'm fully fulfilled and satisfied in this area of my life. And what's crazy is most often than not, they're focusing so much on 1 or 2 pillars and they've completely forgot about the other. And if they're not handled, they bleed into everything else. So I teach you how you can actually find alignment within each one of them. And I'm not going to sit here and say find balance, because you're never going to be 25, 25, 25, 25%. I say alignment is because different seasons you're spending energy on different parts. But if you're not happy in your marriage or your relationships and all of that, I don't care how much you're trying to thrive in business, you are not going to be happy. Or if you're happy in your marriage and all of the stuff and things are great, but you have nothing of your own and no future goals that you're actually aspiring to, that will feed into you too. That will feed into that very subtle resentment that starts to happen because you don't have something of your own. And so I have seen it from all walks of life. And that for me is the definition of that feminine energy is, yeah, I'm click, click. I'm working on each one of these and I'm progressing in each one of these parts of my life.
I like that. And I like that it's not going to necessarily always be balanced, because we are in different seasons at different times. And
100%.
the legacy and building that, and you said it's your own. It's not necessarily shared with your partner or shared with your kids, even though it might involve them, but it is your vision and your legacy that you are looking at. Talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, it is. I see, especially now in this like holistic realm, right? It's like homeschooling, homesteading, homemaker, which I love. Cool. But you see all of the moms becoming influencers online because they thrive for something of their own. But for me, most importantly, we're the conscious generation right now. It is our duty to also show our children that it's okay to pursue your passion. It's okay to build a mission for yourself. Whether or not that becomes a huge financial success is something else. But I think it's so important. Like, our future generations are more important than ever. How are we going to raise free thinkers in a programmed world if we are not going to lead by example? I don't care what you teach them in a textbook or anything like that. They are watching how you live. And a lot of the times, if you don't have something there's studies that were actually done that prove that progress leads to happiness, to more happiness than anything else. Because if you're not progressing, then you're automatically deteriorating. And that just means that you're getting more sickness, all this stuff, right? It's pretty straightforward. So for me, it's okay, who am I? And when I say who am I don't mean your role. I don't care about your corporate role. I don't care that you're a mom, a wife. That's not who you are. That's your role. That's what you're doing right now. And most people can't answer that question. So what did God put you here for? Who are you? What do you want your legacy? What do you want your kids to remember you for? Not you keeping $1 million kind of legacy or millions, but how do you want them to remember you? Were you giving? Were you always stressed? Were you anxious? Whatever it is, like that is like you have a duty to aspire to be the person that you want them to remember you for and how you want people to remember you for. And that I feel like comes with what is my mission and how can I pursue that mission? And a lot of the times when you actually do that, you end up monetizing it. So it's a win-win.
Yes, 100%. And for the folks out there, the women out there with kids who are saying, but my kids see me as happy and relaxed, and they see you how you are, regardless of what you think you're showing.
Hide from them.
See you how you are. And it was actually my children that got me to do things differently. It's, they can't. I'm not having my kids work like this. I'm not having them do things that makes them unhappy. If they can know that they can change. And we changed a lot in our life. We moved so many times and they got through it, and you can do anything. 100%, a lot of times it does take our children to make us change.
It's true, though. They're a weakness, right? They're not even a weakness. They're the reflection of ourselves that we're unhealed that we have to work through.
Oh my gosh. That was something for me to learn too. Why are you doing that? Oh, that looks like me. Okay.
Yeah.
And I don't like that one anymore. Okay. This is so good, Tania. And I've called you Tania 6 times.
Okay.
Okay. How many children do you have?
I've got 2 boys.
2 boys. Okay. How old are they?
7 and a year and a half.
Oh, goodness. Goodness. And you spend lots of time with them?
I do. We travel often. This is why it's important that's why it was important. Like I built my business for 4 years while I was at the corporate. So it's like I had to hustle and you do the things, but I would have never been able to do it if I wasn't future pacing, if I didn't have that vision that I wanted to create. And I love being able to just go on a random Tuesday afternoon. We're going to the park, we're on the splash pad, we're going here, we're going there. And I don't have to answer to anybody. I know that's not everyone's reality.
I think that one of the things you said is, and what I had to do is actually, when I start to do something, I write down, why am I doing this? So that when I'm in the middle of it, wondering, what the hell did I get here? Oh yeah, this was the plan. I started this because I was going here. And then you can keep going knowing that this is not you're not in this whirlwind of tornado, hurricane, whatever it's in forever. You had a plan. So really, to me, when you start something, you're like, why am I doing this?
There has to be a reason behind the why.
There has to be. And write it down, because when you're in the midst of the ick of it, you'll forget and maybe stop, or maybe stay in the ick of it and supposed to continuing on through to get to where you need order to go.
They get stuck in the valley of despair and they follow the next shiny object.
I just got back from vacation. I call it vacation. My vacations are actually my life now. It's like when I go away, I've been in Africa and Middle East for the past month. And I came back and I was like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. I'm just like, okay, don't make a decision in this valley right now. Just wait until you can get yourself together, and then you can decide on some things in your life. But valley of despair, you try not to make decisions there. Make them before and then work through the valley.
The valley of despair is just meant to instill the skills and the wisdom and the patience and the perseverance for your next stage.
Nice. Okay. I'm looking at your one sheet here. What else do you want to talk about? Let me ask you if there's anything else you want to talk about in particular.
Oh, Your audience is primarily like women, core professionals, all of the stuff. I think that if there's one thing that I could talk about is you do not have to give up one thing for the other. And I think that it's another thing that most people think, I don't have the time. Oh my God, scarcity mindset. And I'm not talking about scarcity when it comes to money. Scarcity when it comes to time and energy is so much bigger than that. When I have more time, I'll do it. When the kids graduate, I'll do it. When the kids are off school, I'll do it. When the kids are asleep, I'll do it. There's always a scarcity around time and energy, which is the biggest fallacy that I feel like we've been ingrained to believe, where I'm not sitting here saying, okay, time is absolutely endless. No, but when you are not saying, I don't have the time, so how can I find the time? You start to find pockets of time to do the things that you love. And I'm here to say, I don't believe in sacrificing motherhood for your business or business for marriage or marriage for children, all of those. Like, I'm here to say, like, you can have it all. And society might not have made you believe that way, but you can be happy and healthy and vibrant in every single pillar of your life, and you should be. And if you're not, there's something that you're doing wrong. And I think we're just led to believe that we have to compromise something for another thing. And that's not accurate at all.
I love the question of how can I find the time? Because in my business where we talk about money and building your reserve so that you can have options in your life to do what you want to do, it isn't about, I don't have the money. The question is, how can I find it?
I can't afford it. No, how can I make it work?
It is not about, there's so much mindset and so much power in your words that we have to realize. Reclaiming your energy, because I know that there are women out there working, and what you just talked about is, I have to give up this because I'm so tired, because I got up at 7 as a surgeon. I got up at 7, I got to work, I started operating, I didn't finish until 4:35. And I have it again tomorrow, or something else is tomorrow that's going to...
You just said it. You're running on autopilot. The moment you are constantly running on autopilot, you are dying a slow death inside, because there's nothing exciting anymore. And that doesn't mean, like I said, I was in the corporate world for 4 years while I was building my business, and I didn't like the corporate job. It got to a point where I almost hated it, but it's like I just knew I was working towards something else, something that excited me. Yeah. That's where that drive comes in. And people tend to think, I don't have the time to build it. You can find 18 minutes a day. And that, when I learned that concept of 18 minutes a day, it changed my life, because 18 minutes a day is 100 hours a year. That is a lot of time to progress in something and to build something. You multiply that by 10 years, that's 1,000 years. You become an expert in anything you're spending 1,000 hours in. 1,000 hours, sorry. And so when people are like, oh, I don't have the time, find 18 minutes a day. Find 18 minutes a day on your passion, work towards it, and you'll start, it's just like everything just starts to shift. And you're not going to know the end result. You're not going to be like, oh, I don't know what my purpose is. I don't know what this is. I don't know what the next steps are. That's okay. But spend 18 minutes a day. The moment you're running on autopilot, you just feel like there's no other way for me, because that threshold has become your normal when it shouldn't be.
Yeah. And you don't see anything else. It's like you have blinders on and there's nowhere else to go.
100%.
And we're talking about passion. I remember there was a time like, what is a passion? How do I find a passion? Like, nothing, it was really nothing excites me, which was my cue that there was something wrong. And I know there's other women out there thinking I'm like, what do you mean? What are you talking about passion? I go to work, I do my thing. How can you help people, or how can someone who just says there's no passion, I got nothing?
People have no idea what their passion, what their purpose is. That's normal. I have, in our She's Empowered community, I actually have 2 different curriculums that we go through and work with you on. And one is like how to discover your purpose, not finding your purpose, because it's in there. It's just festering somewhere in there and you have to bring it back out again. So we go through a lot of the inner child stuff and what excited them. But then we also find the second part, which is their zone of genius. And a lot of people have no idea how to find their zone of genius. And that's really saying, what are the things that I'm good at? What are my skills? What are my talents that always just naturally came to me? And think about school, how I was, what people said to me. And what are the things that I enjoy doing that if I were to talk about it nonstop, like someone asked me about it, I could talk about it nonstop. Ask in those, and then almost like where the 2 circles overlap, like that's your zone of genius. Match that with your discovering your purpose. And almost all the time it's like, oh my God, that's what it is. And a lot of the times it stems from their hardships. A lot of the times I see it rooted in, what did you go through? Talk to me about your scars, not your wounds, like we talked about, not your wounds, not things that you're still trying to deal with now, your scars, the things that you've overcome. Cool. How did you overcome that? Oh, this, that. Do you like to talk about that with it? If someone were to ask you right now and they were dealing with it, would you talk about it? Yeah, cool. Now teach that to other people.
Yeah. It took me a while, and interesting. It took me a long time to be able to be concise and condensed in the words. Every woman should have the financial freedom to walk away from any job or relationship that's not in her best interest. It came from my mother's life. It came from things that happened to me. And when I look back at what I've been doing for the last 20, 30 years, I've been doing this all along. I just didn't know these words. And it is where I'm supposed to be. It is.
I think I love that you brought that up. This is such a good place because it's not just financial independence. What people don't recognize is the moment you are financially dependent, you are also emotionally dependent. And the moment you are emotionally dependent on someone else, you are outsourcing your power as a woman. And that's, I think, where the issue lies. And so I can't even tell you, like my sister is friends with so many very wealthy soccer moms, and they all have the rich husband and they're just doing their thing. Every single one of them, there is not one that is not unhappy. Not one. Like 2 of them have cancer. This one has autoimmune. This one has this. And that's because there's an emotional dependency that I can't do what I want because it's up to him. That is a dangerous place to be.
And it's not necessarily a him. It could be an organization. It can be a lot of things. Your parents, it can be a lot of things. It's not necessarily a spouse. So for those women out there not married, but I can leave anything. I mean, think about that.
Yeah. Are you attached to the umbilical cord of a corporate job?
If they came in and pissed you off so much that you're like, F this, I'm out. Could you do that? Scary.
So Alicia, we forget that we have a choice. You have a choice. And I'm going to take you to a story. You want to talk about childhood and what happened between then and there? I'm not going to get into all the details, but growing up in community housing, you hang out with some of the wrong people, right? And one of the hardest lessons that I learned was I was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Okay. In my early 20s, around the same time that all the things happen. And I'm not kidding when I say wrong place at the wrong time. I witnessed something. Cops came. They thought I was involved. I got charged, all of this stuff. And I'm just like, I'm so innocent. I don't even know the people's names. Okay. And I was arrested. I was in a holding cell. And I remember, and God loves me so much for what he's taught me and put me through, because it was that my lesson there, I remember vividly, was, holy shit, I have a choice in everything that I do. Who I'm dating, I can leave. Where I'm working, I can leave. Where I'm living, I can leave. I can't leave here. And that feeling of, I have never in my life appreciated the freedom of choice so much in my life, but I knew I was meant to learn that. And I ended up walking away, and there's no repercussions, all of this stuff. So I knew God just wanted to teach me that really powerful lesson, that we have a choice. And that choice could either be to stay stuck, or the choice is going to say, I'm going to rise above it and create something else for myself. Because no matter how much people are like, no, I don't have a choice. Yeah, you do. When I was speaking out during COVID and I was about to lose my job, we sold our house. That was our choice, so that we weren't stuck financially dependent on the corporate. You always have a choice, but your choice is to stay where you are and not to rise above it sometimes.
I'm ready to stop this because this is like the best place to end. You always have a choice. But I'm going to keep talking. You don't always like your choices. But you always have a choice. And many choices are blind. You're like, I can stay here or I can do something different. But what is something different? I don't know, but I'm going to do it.
That leap of faith, right?
It's a scary step to take, but it is a step to take. And so far, every time I've taken it, beautiful things have happened. Hard things.
Always. When you make that hard decision, it's, oh my goodness, can you imagine if I never made that choice? I'd never be where I am here. I talked to you about quitting my job, leaving the relationship, moving back into my parents' house. If I never did that, I'd be stuck.
You'll be still there in your car, maybe.
Yeah, but the choice is so powerful, and it's releasing your control and allowing that choice.
I have a friend that says the change is not what's hard, it's the transformation that's difficult and challenging. So that The process of change is the hard part, but embrace it and go. And the last thing I'm going to say is we always have a choice. And if you remember nothing else from this conversation, you have to remember that. When you feel stuck, look around. What are my choices? Because you are.
I don't mean burn it all down and quit your job and leave the marriage, but you could take micro steps towards something bigger.
100%. Even if your choice is to ultimately do that. Okay. How do I do that in I'm going to say dignified, but orderly fashion? You don't have to.
Right. That's exactly it.
The freaking chaos, make the chaos. Whatever floats your boat. Think about it, though. Okay. Anyway, how do people get in touch with you, Tania Khazaal, the herbalist?
Yeah. So my brand is Tania the Herbalist. So you can go on TaniaTheHerbalist.com. The place that I'm most active right now is Instagram. So I'm there showing up daily, multiple times. I'm in conversations all the time. That's where you can find me. Tania the Herbalist is what I love to share, everything about life and motherhood and health and well-being and everything that we've talked about today.
And Tania is about helping women be empowered to live their best lives, have their legacy. Say the 4 pillars again.
Inner world, lifestyle and well-being, relationships and connections, and your vision and legacy.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much for being here. You guys, Tania's written a lot of books, and I talked about them in the intro. So if you skipped the intro and came right into the thing, go back there and just look for her. I think you will be enriched, and it will help you to discover more things about yourself if you think that there's things to be discovered by following her and staying in touch. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, Tania.
Thank you. God bless. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Okay.